Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? Well, the answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. For instance, my podcast is about distributing information to everyone about relationships. And I love this app because all I have to do is press record, and then I post it. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast and making money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
How's it going, lovebirds? You are now listening to the podcast that brings you good relationship advice from real relationship experiences. This is episode number 31 of the Good Relationships Podcast. I'm your host, Derek Brown Jr., the Good Company relationships expert. And if you're in need of daily motivation, you can follow us on Instagram. Just search Good Relationships Podcast. Again, that's Good Relationships Podcast. On today's show, we have a QC couple from Palmer, Kelsey and Eric. How y'all doing today?
We're good.
We're good. We're doing great.
Okay. Well, please tell us a little bit more about yourself, your story, and then I'll introduce the topic and we can go right into the questions.
Yeah, so hi guys, my name is Kelsey. So I've actually been on the show before, so I'm super excited to be back. I am a 22-year-old graduate student at Palmer College of Chiropractic. It's actually where I met Eric, and we are in our second trimester of chiropractic school, so hardest, busiest trimester, but we're working through it, and that's what matters. In my free time, I'm also a health and fitness coach, which there is not much free time, but I really do enjoy that part of my life and the fact that I get to share that with Eric as well.
Yep. And my name is Eric. I grew up near Chicago, went to undergrad in Indiana, then went to Palmer here in Davenport in the QC, and then that's where I met Kelsey, and we've just been grinding, studying for the last few months, but it's been going great.
So how did you two meet?
I think this is a story that Eric tells a little bit better than I do because he's the one that actually approached me.
Yeah, so we started Palmer in October, the end of October, and I'm really into fitness as well, just like Kelsey. So I went to the gym, and I saw her. It was the first week of school, and I saw her in the gym, and I didn't think too much of it, but I thought she was very pretty and everything like that. And I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything the first time because I was a little nervous, And then I kept seeing her throughout that week. And so, one day I was just like, I have to go for it. I just have to go for it. So, I kind of stalked her. I won't lie.
I'm glad he included that because that's exactly what happened.
So she went upstairs. I went upstairs as well. She was doing some abs. I don't ever do abs, but this day, I feel like I had to do them. And so I was working out next to her, and she had her headphones in, and I was kind of like waiting for that moment, right, for that right moment. But she had her headphones in, so I didn't want to bother her. But finally, she took them out, and I was like, "Oh, this is my chance right here." Yeah. So I just, I just started a conversation with her, just asking her what she thought of Palmer and everything like that, because I knew we were in the same class because I had seen her in class. And she told me a little bit about her background and how, what classes she took in undergrad and everything like that. And I pretty much asked her, well, this is my weakness area right here in this class, and luckily for me, she knew she knew a lot about those classes. So I asked her, hey, is it okay if I got your number? We could study together and everything like that. And she said sure, and yeah. So then I got her number and everything like that, and I want to say that weekend we went out with a group of people that we had met. Everyone was just getting to know each other. So we went out with a group of people, and that whole night we were kind of just talking to each other, just, you know, we weren't really talking to anyone else besides us two, you know. So, I mean, you know, then the next day she asked me if I wanted, well, she asked me to text her if I wanted to study, and so that day I did text her, you know, I was still nervous, obviously, like that. So I texted her that the next morning, and, you know, she was in the library and everything like that, and so I went to go see her, and, you know, ever since then, we've kind of been inseparable, really.
Yeah, for sure. And that next night we got together and we had like a 5-hour conversation. I think we talked till like 3 a.m. or something. Yeah. And this was like second week of school, so we don't know anybody, and all of a sudden we're like best friends. And we actually both had found out at that time that at that time we were both in relationships of about 2 years, and just kind of toxic, unhealthy situations. Neither one of us really felt 100% supported for like what we were going for, our dreams, especially being at chiropractic school, those goals, etc. And it was just kind of like, holy cow, I found somebody who's in the exact same situation as me, who's going to school for the same things as me, and like we just kind of banded together and supported each other, and actually both of us ended up like leaving those relationships, not because of one another, but just because we realized like, holy cow, we're not happy in our current situations. And then after that, we, like you said, we were inseparable, and that's kind of our story. So we were in the identical same life situations before coming to school. So
I like the word you used, inseparable. That breaks into the topic very well. So I'm going to transition to that. Lovebirds, today's topic with Kelsey and Eric is the importance of growing together, especially when things get tough. And I'll repeat that. The importance of growing together, especially when things get tough. So you know how we always do. We go straight into the questions. So for these two lovebirds, question number 1 is, what is the most important reason for making time for each other?
So I think that our life situation is a little bit different than most people kind of starting a relationship. Familiar to some, but we spend about 24/7 together, and that's not an exaggeration. Our schedules, with being chiropractic students, with being in the same trimester, we are together from 7 a.m. in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon, like without a doubt. We go to class together, we eat lunch together, like our whole cohort is just together for the whole day, and we make time for each other just because our schedule dictates our time. Like we're together all the time, we're studying together, we're in the gym together. And the importance of that, I think we've realized, is the situations we were in before we got to know each other, we never wanted to go back there again. And just building a relationship together, being together, has been so important because we realize that we're better together than by ourselves, and we're stronger together. And the only reason that we're going to get stronger together is making time for each other.
Yep, and I know for her as well, like coming here, I came here for a purpose. You know, I know this was the road I was supposed to take, and so meeting her was just kind of like okay, this is meant to be, you know. And I felt like meeting each other at this time, especially going through such a tough program, you know, this was what we were supposed to do, you know. And I would say I honestly, with her by my side, like I don't think I'd be doing so as good as I am now, you know, just because we keep each other on track, like you said. Like we just, you know, we do everything together. We do it so good together as well, you know. And I don't think we would be doing as great as if we didn't meet, you know.
Yeah, and I think our success really is because we have one another pushing each other. And so the importance of spending time together definitely is the greater outcome of how well we're doing in school, how well we're doing in lives, our relationships with our family and friends and other, you know, people that we're going to school with, etc. And it's just because we choose to be better together instead of being alone, which is awesome.
No, I think that's like very important because you guys have chosen to become like a support system for each other. Absolutely. And then at the same time, it's like you're literally improving yourselves and bettering the other person and encouraging their growth. Yeah. And it sounds like it's coming from spending a lot of time with each other, which I feel like some couples don't do that because they get caught up in like their alone time or feeling a need to kind of explore their own journey. But at the same time, it's like you need to also include that person if you feel like that person is for you for the rest of your life. I think it's important to have that person through those times, because that way they can see the struggles, the pains that you're dealing with daily, and you don't have to deal with so much of the person holding it inside or keeping it away from you. I'm sure you guys have less of those conversations than anyone else at this point, if that's the case.
For sure.
For sure.
I mean, spending so much time together, I know what makes him tick, what makes him work, what he doesn't like, what he functions best off of, and vice versa. Yeah. And so our personalities are very similar, but our personalities balance each other out very well too, because I'm like the hyperactive, like go, need to have a plan 100% of the time, like very, very time oriented, and he's really good at telling me like, hey, just take a step back, just chill, look at the big picture, look at the goals that you're working towards, but don't forget to cut yourself some slack and like just relax once in a while. So finding that balance between our personalities has been huge, honestly. So
as for like couples out in the world right now, you guys would definitely say that spending time together to really discover the other person, to find that balance between your personalities would just be like a solid way to, increase the chance of making that relationship way better, especially in the beginning, because you guys have been dating for how long?
It's a tough question from where we met to actually.
Yeah.
Like dating, probably about...
We started dating on January 1st of this year, but we've been together since November, so it's a loaded question.
And for you guys to have like such a strong and solid foundation, it sounds like spending a lot of time together has been like a key part of that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just right away, we talked about like, what are you fearful of? What are your goals? What are your dreams? Like the questions that like you really get to find out who that other person is, and like I think that was so beneficial for us.
And I think that drew me closer to her, because everything that she was saying, like I was thinking, and like all her goals, all her dreams, I was like, wow, like those are mine as well, and I think that was why, like I just, I knew this was meant to be. So.
What other questions did you guys ask each other? Like, I feel like that's important for people to ask, because you said, what are your fears? Mm-hmm. What are your dreams? What are your goals? Yeah. I don't think many people ask those questions, What other questions?
I don't think so either. Our biggest questions were centered around, and I know like this is kind of a taboo topic for some people in relationships, but what do you want for your future? Mm-hmm. So like we both going to chiropractic school someday wanted to own our own business. What does that practice look like? What are we going to have to do along the way to get there, etc.? And like how many patients do we want to see a week? What do we want to be able to provide for our families in the future? And just like basically those hard questions are like, or I would tell him, like, I'm fearful of, like, letting my parents down, and because, like, they raised me so well, and, like, all of these different things, and I think that's what we talked about in your situation with your family, and how much you want to provide for your mom, and just tons of different things. So I think the questions really were, like, what do you want for your future, and then, that can branch into so many different things, and I don't think I was scared to talk to you about that, because I was like, well, if he's not ready to run with this, then... Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is going to work. So it's like, right. I think just laying the ground foundation, like, right away of what I wanted for my life. And if he wanted it, bonus, like, come along. But if not, like, you kind of know maybe this isn't my person, or maybe this isn't the avenue that I should explore.
Yeah. And I think just her confidence in everything she was saying. And I was just like, wow, like I could definitely see myself with this person doing all of these things that we've talked about, that we laid out. Mm-hmm. And I think that was awesome when we were talking about it. So.
Something that you just said I really like, and I want the audience to really key in on what you said. You could see yourself with her. So, like, how far along, like, in the future could you see Kelsey in your life?
So after, like, this was probably maybe the same month that we had met. Like, speaking about our goals and everything, like she just said, opening up a practice, like, within that month, or maybe the second month, as we were getting to know each other and everything like that, like, I was like, wow, like, I could definitely see us opening a practice together, and so, that was huge, because, like, I had never felt like that before, and so, just having those feelings, I knew, like, okay, this is it.
Did that scare you at all?
Honestly, no. I would probably say in the past it would have, but like I said before, I came here for a purpose, and, like, I think meeting her was part of that, and so I was ready. I've been ready. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. So, question number 2, and you guys kind of answered this a little bit, but I'll restate it just in case it brings out more stuff. And it is, what has made you guys grow the most together?
I think that with the rigor of our school schedule and how much work, time, and effort that school in general takes out of our lives, just growing together in that sense has been like exactly what each other needed. And I say that because, 1 week earlier this trimester we had 5 exams, and we study together, we quiz each other together, we take our exams on the same day, and we get the same kind of grades. So like we're succeeding in school together, and we're able to see all the success in school together. And ultimately, since we're getting good grades, we're getting these good results, it's making us grow closer together, because we're like, wow, we just want to keep succeeding like this. We just want to keep doing this well, but I know that I can't do that well without him. So I want him to be more and more a part of my life, because I don't only see that in school. I see that in the gym, especially because like training with him, I know like I can hit one more step, I can hit one more rep, because I have somebody spotting me. I have somebody telling me like, you're not done till you're done kind of thing. Like, we can do this, we can work through that. And just even working through everyday struggles, like it all starts with the fact that I think we found that central ground around succeeding in school and realizing like, holy cow, this success can be more than just school, it can be life too. So
and like what she said, just going off of that, like we do push each other to become better every single day, whether it's class wise or in the gym or just every day. We try to just be there for each other, and like you said, we do push each other to study more, or like one more rep in the gym, and I think that's awesome. I've never had that before,
right.
So just having her there, like I know like everything's okay, and like I think that that's just been so key for us.
Yeah, and I think we've really tried working together to absolutely see the best in other people. Like, we have some people in our class that we get along with, some people in our class that we don't, but at the end of the day, if somebody did something that like we didn't agree with 100% or we were frustrated with, we thought about like, okay, so how can we learn from that? Not bash that person, not talk bad about that person necessarily, but like, what are we going to do different in our lives so that isn't our reality? So we've definitely grown closer together, and not trying to put down other people, but just lift everybody up around us too. And I think he's a super, super big support system in that. Like, when I have questions about a client, he's like, just encourage them this way or help them in this way, and hopefully they can grow. So it's finding new positive avenues on how to impact everybody's lives around us, not just our own. So
I was just reading in the book, and it's called Outwitting the Devil, and it's basically the secret to overcoming like anything. Napoleon Hill was basically saying that it's to find like a woman or find a man who is their goals align up with your goals, because once you have someone who can support you through anything, and you guys create a super mind, which is your minds working together and playing off each other's ideas, making every situation better, you're basically undefeatable, because there's nothing that could break you down as an individual, because you always have that person next to you that's like, no, focus, nope, keep going, or lifting you up when you fall down.
Right.
So that's like a beautiful thing to have early on, especially since you guys are so young and have a lot of dreams and stuff, and working towards that is going to be like super awesome to see the journey. So
yeah, I think that's awesome. I think one really cool thing, like what you said about Supermind, it actually remembered me. One of the first things Eric told me is the doctors, so we both actually worked for chiropractic offices before we came here to school, and the crazy story about that
That's a crazy story.
And I feel like we need to include this part, because it's really kind of when we found out like, okay, 100%, yeah, we're meant to be together. So I worked for a chiropractic office in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and he worked for one in Illinois. Yeah. And both of them went to Palmer. Both of these doctors went to Palmer. They met their spouses at Palmer. Like, they played rugby. Like, their stories are just oddly similar. And the things that he did at his office in Illinois, I did at my office in La Crosse. And so that's kind of what we bonded with right away. Like, oh, we've helped patients through these same exercises. We've helped them through the same kind of care. And over in February, we found out when he went back to visit his doctors and when I went back to visit mine, that the doctors I worked for actually worked for his doctors.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So my doctor taught her doctor everything he knows. And, like, it was just insane because like we talked about this. We talked about what we did in our offices, and they were just so similar. Like I was like, I can't believe it. Like she knows everything that I was doing, and I knew everything she was talking about.
Right.
And then we go back home and we find out that our doctors, you know, her doctor worked for my doctor and taught him everything he knows, and it just was like, okay, like, are you serious right now? This is funny, this is not a coincidence. So.
No, and
yeah.
I think the coolest thing about it is the big connection, other than chiropractic, with those doctors for me, was when I met Eric. He was like, you know, my doctors told me, like, build your super team. So you have that super mind, and the foundation of our super team is us together, you know, and hopefully, like, expanding a family someday. But they said, you know, like, build your super team, like, work on that, find that person that works and drives the same way that you do. And you can make it work. So, I mean, we're a super mind together. That's for sure.
And I actually, when I saw him, I was like, hey, I found my super team, and he thought it was so awesome. So that's the whole mindset behind that super team, and I think that's what we're definitely doing together is growing and becoming, you know, that super team that we wanted to be. So
okay, well, no, I definitely I see the point is to build a super team with the person that you feel like you will spend the rest of your life with, and I think that's something that everyone can do pretty easily. I feel like that's pretty simple. Like, find someone, build a super team with them, support them, care for them, and grow with them, you know.
You have to be ready as individuals.
Yeah, I was about to say, you just don't be afraid of it. You know, if you don't be afraid of it, just do it, and I guarantee you'll be happy. Guarantee it. So, yeah.
Excellent. All right, so question number 3. And now we're switching into the when times get tough portion. So, when times get tough, how do you two respond?
Well, with like you said, with our program here, I mean, we're probably always stressed, to be honest. We, you know, like you said, sometimes we have 5 exams a week, you know, and so definitely I feel like we definitely push each other to study. And like she said before, she's the one that will, you know, she always wants to, you know, make sure we're getting stuff done and everything like that. And I'm kind of like the laid back one, so we balance each other out in that aspect. So when things do get tough, she makes sure that we are focused and we're doing the things we're supposed to do. But I also am like, okay, Kelsey, let's just take a step back, let's breathe, and let's just we'll get this done. Okay, everything will be okay. And I think having the both of us like that, that's helped a lot.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for us is communication. I very, very early on, I told Eric, I was like, I'm an emotional person. And not the fact that I just, break down crying, but, I will cry at a dog video. My family means everything to me. And it's just, sometimes it's just, I'm so passionate about everything that I do in my life that comes with a lot of emotion. And I told him, there's going to be days where, I'm just not on my game, and I need you to know that, but I also need you to know, the things I might need to hear to, help me get out of that. And if I'm struggling with something, my parents live 5 hours away, I have grandparents that are in fantastic health, and he knows that, that's a really emotional thing for me, so some days might be harder than others, but I tell him, hey, I'm really struggling with this, and we're just, really open about that communication, what makes us really happy, but also in areas that we struggle with, so when something happens, or if something did happen, he kind of knows, all right, this is kind of how she's going to handle it, and we've worked through those things ahead of time, so he knows how he can support me, and kind of what I might need to hear, or kind of how I'm going to need somebody to be there for me, whether it's going to be maybe taking a few, hours away from each other, or, spending more time together, etc. It's just kind of, it's totally 100% communication. We openly let each other know, hey, it's not that I never say to them, I hate that you do this, but it's I wish, instead, that this was communicated to me different. So we kind of, it's very, functional and very, moving forward of communication. It has, background to it. It's not just stagnant all the time. So, yeah, I think it's important for us we communicate all the time. In person. We don't do anything over, we obviously sometimes I'll text him good morning or whatever, but if we are talking about something really important, we always talk about it in person. We don't do it over the phone or over text. We're so close to in living a proximity to each other that it's really easy to go and see him, but we make sure hey, this is bothering me a little bit, how can you help me through it? Instead of pushing him away, I try to bring him closer and invite him in to help me instead of just like resenting him.
That definitely made us closer, and just doing that and being able to talk things out, even when something's bothering us or something, whatever it is, we always talk it out, and I feel like that's like one of the most important things in our relationship. So.
Okay, and I know that earlier you guys said that you have a very spiritual relationship also.
Yeah.
How does that affect your relationship when it comes to going through tough times?
Go ahead.
Well, like I said before, coming here, I already know I was meant to be here. Meeting her, I knew I was meant to meet her. And I feel like definitely we pray a lot. When things get tough, we say a prayer. We pray, like she said, we pray for people that might need it as well, And so I think that alone has been helpful and everything like that. And I mean,
we know that each other, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God having a plan for us. So we just are always trying to be so thankful and so appreciative of him bringing us here, but also bringing us together. And then finding out all these crazy things of how our doctors worked for each other, like connected before we were even here. I mean, it's just, that's him. That's all the Lord. That wasn't us. And we just, all we can do is try to repay him for that. I mean, we pray before we eat, like all of these different things. Like, we're just so grateful and so thankful. And sometimes when we need it, like, try to get through an exam week, I remember us just, like, sitting together and be like, let's pray about it. And just, asking God to, like, ease our hearts. And makes me really happy, because in my old relationship, I didn't have somebody who just wanted to pray with me as much and didn't necessarily believe in that. And that's a foundation for my life, the way my parents raised me. So to have somebody that also feeds off that too is huge for us as prayer. So
and that's why, we always try to stay positive as well.
That's key.
We know, like, this is what we're supposed to be. We're doing his duty, and that's all we try to do. We try to be the best people we can be.
We just remind ourselves that if we take care of other people, God will take care of us, and we just try to be there to celebrate anybody in their success and pull them through their struggle. That's what.
And we will take that all the way until
forever, right?
Until the end of time. Yeah. So.
What is looking at every situation with a positive mindset? What is that like in your relationship? Like, could you give a few examples for people who may be listening and they may be going through certain things and whatnot? Yeah,
I think just waking up and having a positive attitude is huge. Just because you wake up, you say, "Wow, what a beautiful day!" Even if it's raining outside, even if the weather is not as great, if you wake up with that positive mindset, your day is going to be great. I promise you. And so that's what we try to do every single day. We always try to say, well, God has given us today. This is another day to be great, and why not take advantage of it? And so, we're, no matter what it is, like we try to compliment everyone. We try to do as much as we can for other people to have that positive mindset as well.
Yeah. And we actually just went live on Instagram yesterday and talked about the importance of positive self-talk and how we both learned how to positively talk to ourselves through exercise. And in the gym, when on those days that you're tired and those days you don't want to go, but you're motivated enough to know that the end goal is more like worth than what you're struggling through right then. And we talked about how since we've been able to positive talk ourselves up and just like get through every day, that allowed us to find a positive relationship within each other that allows us to keep going. Like you said, we wake up in the morning, we're just like, thank you, Lord, for this day. And we always say, like, today's going to be a great day. And just knowing that, remember that, there's so many people out there that have so many things, like, worse than you always, and you just be so appreciative for where you come from, where you've been, but also where you're going. And that's truly, like, comes from positive self-talk. And if one day I'm lacking it, he gives it to me and vice versa. And we just try to do that to everybody. If somebody, I think the biggest thing for us and what I'm really, really proud of us for doing is somebody be like, oh, this exam is going to suck, or this exam is going to be so hard. And we're going to be like, but you know what? You're going to get through it. And afterwards, like, after the outcome is all said and done, there's nothing you can do and you can't change anything about it. Just know that you're going to work a little bit harder next time. Or, we don't try to feed into that negativity that unfortunately a lot of people like fester in their lives. We kind of just let it, we just try to combat that with positivity, but in a really high energy, encouraging way, because that's how we respond best too.
Like she was saying, we did it like the other day or yesterday. We went live on Instagram, and I kind of told the story of how where I once was until where I am now, and just to share with that a little bit. Like a few years ago, I was probably at the lowest point. I was in undergrad. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was overweight. And a lot of negative thoughts were going through my mind and everything like that. But, I started to realize that, like, I would be happier if I were to think positive thoughts. So I started getting around people that inspired me. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think that was a big thing. I wasn't around people that were, inspiring me. They were, they weren't helpful, right?
Right.
And so I started getting around people that were inspiring me. I started getting closer to the Lord and everything like that. And it just, one thing led to another. So I got in the gym. Everyone has to start somewhere, right? So that was probably my biggest thing. I started somewhere, and I just went with it. And, I started thinking positive thoughts every single day. Mm-hmm. Every single day. Even if I was having a bad day, I would always think about the positive in that day, whatever it was. And I think that really, really helped me through it to get to where I am now, because now I'm just like, I know what I need to do. I know what I'm supposed to do. Yep. And so that's helped me a lot, too.
For sure.
Yeah. Good. I completely agree. And, I mean, for anyone that's listening, it's like Eric said, if you wake up with gratitude, if you wake up with positive self-image, like Kelsey said, it's going to lead to a great day. And especially if you're with someone who is supportive of that same mindset. If you guys are constantly encouraging each other and speaking life into each other, then you should be expecting a beautiful day and a beautiful life if you continue to share that experience with that person. So I definitely have another question for you too, and this was not on the question list, but I want to know how you guys actively grow your relationship. Like, how do you guys actively improve each other's relationship? And I don't know if an example I could think of would be like, let's say you're in class. Are you ever thinking of a way to surprise Kelsey? Or are you looking for a way to one-up yourself when you're,
I would say you did that.
Yeah, so it's funny that you say that, surprise Kelsey. I know she deserves everything, right? And I know she's working towards it, and she, so I want to say, her birthday was in January, right? And her friends and I, or our friends and I could say, we came up with an idea. We were like, Kelsey's so special. She makes sure everyone's okay before herself, right? And that, that is so great about her. So we're like, we need to do something crazy for her. So in January, this past January, it was her 22nd birthday, and we thought it would be awesome if we surprised her with a huge surprise birthday party with like all of our friends from school, as well as bringing her parents from Wisconsin. It's a 5-hour drive, so we called them and they absolutely said yes. And so I told her that I was going to take her to dinner, just for a regular birthday dinner and everything like that. But at the dinner, it was 30 of our closest friends, her parents, even her dog was there.
Wow.
Yeah. And she had no clue. But, like, when we got in there and everyone yelled surprise, like, her face, like, that was it. That's like, wow, like, she deserved this. And so, I would say, surprising, yes. So.
But I think another thing about us, too, is I don't know if you lovebirds are familiar with love languages, but I think love languages is something that's extremely important. The way that you give love and receive love is often two different things. And I know for me, receiving love is spending quality time with Eric and hearing words of affirmation from him. But also the way that I want to show love to him is acts of service and quality time as well. So I think it's really important that we kind of, I don't know, I guess that's how I always try to surprise him, or to, like, one up my old self, is just trying to make sure, like, I'm doing things for him every single day that are going to cater to the way that he needs to be loved. And I think that's really important. And I definitely find myself constantly thinking about that. Or he'll tell me, like, hey, today I was thinking about like this for our future. Like, what do you think about this? Or Eric has a very big fetish with cars, so he's always like, this is my goal, this is my dream, like, and here's what I'm going to do every single day to get there. And I think that's really important. It's because we're always looking out for our future selves, but we're also making sure that our present selves are taken care of. So I think that's important.
That I couldn't have said it any better than that. Well, do you have any last words for the lovebirds? Any more advice? Anything that you feel like could help other couples like yourself improve their relationship, or, you know, work towards just making everything better in their relationship? I don't really know any kind of general advice or anything like that.
I would say oftentimes learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that basically just means like getting yourself into conversations that maybe you're kind of fearful of having, or topics that you're not necessarily like 100% think you're ready to discuss. Like, just ask people things, like ask people interesting questions about them, or answers that are going to make them take a day to think about, or just finding out and discovering more about those people. Like, ask them about their family, like a lot of, like, feel out if they're family oriented or not. I know that's something that's super important for Eric and I. Like, knowing his story of how he grew up is really important to me, and vice versa. And just basically what that other person likes and doesn't like. And I mean, just asking those tough questions. But once you start asking them, like, they're going to lead to conversations that you never knew were possible. And they're going to be so growing for both of you. And I think that's really, really what we did. And I think that's, everybody needs to do that. And obviously spending quality time together. And like, quality time, I don't mean sitting there on your phones. I mean, like, we will make dinner and have like an hour conversation over dinner, or we will schedule time out of our week that we love spending time with our friends and going and doing things. But like last night we went to see Avengers, and like we were just like, we just as a unit are gonna go and do that. And
How was the movie, by the way?
So good.
Okay.
No spoilers.
No spoilers here.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was great. But like she was saying, you know, you have to make time for each other. Take a step back from your life, from work, or whatever it is that you guys do every day, and just spend time with each other, talk through everything, communicate. I feel like we do that very well, and that has helped our relationship so much.
Yeah, and find stuff you like to do together. For us, like, we are so blessed that both of us are into fitness, but both of us love spending time in the gym. Like, that is our thing. But it could even just be like walking your dogs, or going to the park, or taking a weekend away or something. It's like finding something that's unique to you two, that it's almost like other people don't understand how much it means to you, because that's what makes you work, and that's what makes you go. And also, just figuring out what's going to be best for your relationship. And also, if you're happy in your relationship, like, share that with people. I think that's really important, is what we talk about. Like, I tell people what I love about Eric all the time, because I'm hoping that it'll encourage people in a really good situation to, you know, explore that with their significant other, or somebody who's maybe in a not so great situation, to know that they deserve more. And also just figuring out, you know, what's healthy for the other person. And I don't no longer think like what's just going to be best for me. I think what is also going to be best for Eric, because he's a huge, huge part in my life, and I don't ever want to go without that. So I need to make sure he's taken care of as well.
Yeah. I would say with that too, like, just, you know, we all have been told, like, when you find the one, you'll know, right? We always talk about this too. We always talk about this, you know, and like, I always heard that, like, from my doctors to, you know, even my mom and stuff. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that doesn't happen.
Know when you know.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. But honestly, I will say, when I came here, when I met her, like, I was like, oh, okay, so this is what we're talking about. Because everything just felt so real with her. You know, nothing was, I didn't feel like I had to fake anything or like force anything. Exactly, perfect. And like, it was just so, I can't even put it in words.
Was it easy and simple?
So simple.
Yeah, I think that from every couple that I've heard who's been together for a long time, they say the same exact thing you just said. It's like, no, it's not supposed to be hard.
Nope.
Like, falling in love is not supposed to be hard.
And when you realize that it's not supposed to be hard, I think the biggest thing, and I never thought that I would say this out loud, but I'm so thankful for every person that I've had a relationship with in the past that it didn't work out. That for that reason, like all of that struggle, all of those, you know, things that I went through, like even like the pain that I endured, like all of that was worth it, meeting somebody like him. But I also knew that I wouldn't be able to be with him if I hadn't gone through that.
Right.
So
if we didn't know what that was like to go through all of that, we wouldn't know what this, you know, what this feels like. And it's just, every day it's so special, you know. And when I hear her talk about me to other people, I'm just like, wow. Like,
it's like, it makes, like you said, it makes all that stuff you gone through. It's funny for me to say this, but even the toughest of situations, they become a beautiful thing, because you wouldn't have become the people that you are if you didn't go through those like past relationships. And then the best part is like all the emotional pain and stuff. Yeah, you may still like have some relation to it, but it's usually erased as soon as you meet that right person. Right. So that gives like the lovebirds and everyone else who is looking at being in that personal relationship just some kind of hope to know that even if you're going through a tough time with someone that you are in a relationship with now and things didn't work out and you feel like you're not doing good, it's like all that pain, all the stress, the sadness, the anxiety of you finding that right person, it'll go away as soon as you find that right person. And then the rest of those days will just they'll take over the past. It's like it doesn't matter anymore because you guys are together.
Yeah, and you don't think about the bad things. Right. I normally now, instead of being like, oh, I wish this person in the past would have done this, I say, I'm so thankful that Eric does this for me now, because I've never been used to that, you know? So it really brings out just a whole different side of appreciativeness for the person that you are and the person that you're with. And I think that's very, very important. And having a relationship with yourself first, understanding like what you deserve is really, really important, and not settling. And I know that obviously for him, like I'm absolutely not settling at all, because I had an idea in my mind of what my perfect person was like, and he exceeds every single one of those expectations. So that's really important to me. So
where can the lovebirds expect to see you two in the next 6 months? That's something we're doing new now. So when we have you guys back on the show, you know, the lovebirds can look forward to hearing how your plans went and everything. So
we have a busy summer coming up. We have my brother's getting married, and so we have that planned. We have a conference planned in Indianapolis. So we have a lot going on within the next 6 months, I'd say.
Still in school.
Still in school, yeah.
We got 3 more years of that. But also just hopefully encouraging other people along the way to, you know, either leave a bad situation or not be afraid to take steps into new ones. And we're still going to be in the QC. We're not going anywhere. Nope. Hopefully just growing closer with our families and growing closer as a couple and doing better in school. And by 6 months from now, we'll be in our almost fourth trimester of grad school. So we're very excited about that because you get done with all the science classes. But I think just working together and improving ourselves every single day and designing our future practice is probably what's going to go on.
Yeah. Just gonna keep growing from here.
Yeah,
you know, that's the goal. So, like she said, I love what she said. Just, you know, planning for our future. You know, every single day we wake up and like, okay, you know, what are we gonna do today that will help us for our future, in our future. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for coming on today's show. I look forward to having you guys back. Hopefully sooner than 6 months, but if not, then I know the lovebirds listening has probably created some kind of connection with you too, and they'll be excited to hear how your plans went. And lovebirds, if you have any questions for Kelsey or Eric or me, you can shoot them directly to the Good Relationships Podcast on Instagram. Just go to Instagram and search Good Relationships Podcast, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to assist you with your fitness goals, with your relationship goals, anything. And I don't know if you guys said it earlier, but where can the lovebirds find you too?
So for me, I'm pretty big on Facebook and Instagram. You can reach me by email. My Facebook is just Kelsey Arneson Fitness, and my Instagram is Kelsey_Arneson22. And then my email is just my first and last name, so KelseyArnesonFitness@gmail.com. So that's where you can reach me.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook as well. I'm just Erick Hernandez. I'm on Instagram as well as ErickH_21. She tags me a lot in her posts, fitness posts and everything like that.
Find one, you'll find the other.
So if you find her on Instagram, you'll find me on Instagram and Facebook as well and everything like that. You know, we just posted a picture on Facebook that got so many likes, you know, and so that's where you could find us.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for coming on the show. Thank you, Lovebirds, for listening. That's all we got for you today. And as always, stay blessed, not stressed.